All right, let me move on to the economy. The economy is growing, and obviously you're seeing a great impact from your tax cut plan and the rollback in regulations. How would you characterize things right now?
I think the economy is doing fabulous. I think, as we've said, going back to last year, our objective is to create economic growth. When we got here, everybody told us why the economy couldn't grow at better than 2%. We said our objective is sustained 3% GDP or higher. We've had several quarters of that, and we are well on our way to sustained growth.
Sustained growth, meaning sustained growth of 3% for the coming years?
Absolutely, 3% or higher.
Okay, so we just got a GDP number out. Obviously, it was 2.3% growth. And there is a feeling out there that things are about to slow down in the coming years. I spoke with Robert Kaplan, as I mentioned to you earlier, the president of the Dallas Federal Reserve, who says this year we may see growth of 2.7% or so. But in 19, it's going to drop all the way down to 1.75%, and 2020 because of higher rates, because of a lack of workers. Your thoughts on things slowing down in the coming years?
Well, Maria, let me first comment on this quarter. This quarter was a seasonal issue. The market expected a low number. The GDP actually came in higher than what the market expected. So I don't think this quarter was an issue at all. These same economists were saying a year ago we'd never get higher than 2%. So now they're saying we're going to get to 2.8 or 2.9 this year, and they want to give reasons why that growth isn't going to continue. And everything I'm hearing from business people, from workers, from people I meet with, there's a lot of investment going on in the U.S. We couldn't be more excited about the opportunity for growth.
Even in the last GDP report, consumer spending grew at the slowest pace in 5 years. And the issue is the consumer. We see that the consumer is saving more money than they're actually putting back into the economy. Do you worry that the consumer is not as strong as you would have thought, even if business is powering forward?
Not at all. And I wouldn't read too much into any one quarter. This is about sustained economic growth, and everything we're hearing from the ground up is all very strong.
Even if the Federal Reserve raises interest rates this year 3 times?
Well, first of all, the market expects that the Fed is going to raise interest rates. So again, I'm going to respect the Fed independence and not comment on what they do. But the issue is not whether the Fed raises rates or not. The question is, do they raise rates faster or slower than what are the market expectations?
So you don't think the economy slows down in the coming years, then?
I think we are well on our way to our goal of sustained economic growth, and we couldn't be more confident in that.
Let me ask you about spending. Obviously, that omnibus was hailed as really one of the worst pieces of legislation. Everybody signed it, and the president signed it into law. Now he's talking about a rescission. What is your take in terms of pulling back some of the spending? Will that happen? Well,
the president was very clear from day one when he got into office. He wanted to increase military spending. He felt very strongly that we've underinvested in the military, that we have some very complicated issues all over the world, and that we need to have the best and the strongest military. And the Democrats held us up. To get the increase in military spending, we had to agree to a big increase in non-military spending as well. And the president only agreed to sign that bill because it was so important to support the military.
Or he could have let the government shut down and not be held hostage.
His priority at the time was to get money for the military, and that's something that was very important to him. Now, over time, we will have to deal with these spending issues.
Now, the president said this weekend, look, if there is not money for the wall in the next budget coming in the September deadline, he will allow the government to shut down. Do you agree with that?
I think if he says it, I would be very prepared that he's going to do that.
That's 2 months before the midterm elections. You're going to let the government shut down right before the midterm elections?
I think the president is very committed to get the things that he campaigned on and what he's focused on, and I leave it to him to decide.
So what is the plan in terms of reining in spending over the long term? We know that the growth in spending is about the entitlements. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid are going broke within 10 and 15 years.
I actually think it's much more than that. I think there are significant areas in the government where we can cut back, and I think that's something that the president is determined we'll look back at over time.
Like what?
I think there's a whole lot of things. I don't want to go through it right now.
But if you had all of these things that were so easy to cut back, how come you haven't?
Maria, to get appropriations done, you need 60 votes in the Senate. So this is something that, again, the president agreed to do all these things. If you go back and look at the president's original budget, his proposal last year was to cut spending very significantly to pay for military spending. And that's something that the Democrats didn't want to go along with, and that's why, he felt it was important to get military spending, and that's why he approved the bill.
Let me go back to the tax cut plan for a moment, because we've seen business really power forward. They are putting money to work in terms of business spending. We see unemployment at almost, full employment is where the numbers are. Corporate profits expected to be up 25% in the first quarter. But we're also seeing that companies are buying back stocks. Does this speak to the skeptics out there who said, look, the tax cut plan was largely focused on business, they're going to buy back stock and not create jobs?
Not at all, Maria. And as I've commented on before, stock buybacks are one form of capital reallocation. If a company has excess capital, they can buy back stock or issue dividends. That capital is recycled in the economy. It doesn't disappear. It goes back in the economy. That's how companies that need to raise capital raise capital. So the success is not whether there are buybacks or not buybacks. The success is, are we having more investment in business? We're seeing big capital investment. We're beginning to see wages increase. These are all what the tax plan was designed to do.